Last time you saw me design this sail. A cross-cut sail for my Günter mast. Since then I have redesigned the panel seams to get the tack seam meeting the tack and be reefable in a better way. Otherwise it is designed as in the last episode. Now it's time to make panels. I start with laying out the cloth. Measure out the maximum panel width. Draw the cut line on the fabric. Cut out the panels in a way where I make most use of the cloth. Combining long panels with shorter. When cut, I lay out the panels on the floor. I want to get the first glimpse of the size of the sail. Now I draw the rough triangle of the sail using yarn and tape. And check that the panels are large enough to cover the area. The actual edge curves are shaped from the largest offset. The offset on the luff from the straight line is measured out. And the yarn is secured with tape. Similar for the foot curve. Starting from the largest offset at 45% in from the luff. In the leech the batten points has the largest offset. Also here I tape out these points, but leave the distance between straight. Now I can prepare the panels. I start with measuring out the final leech end, 3 cm from the panel end to allow for a rolled tabling. Then I measure out the maximum panel width, 32 cm, starting about 3 cm from the panel end on each side. Then I can draw the maximum panel width along the edge on both sides. These lines will be the base for drawing the broad seams. From the blueprint I read the width of the broad seam, 0.6 cm, and mark this distance in from the baseline on both sides. Then I read how far the taper should run into the cloth and measure out the different distances on the cloth. Now I can draw the taper line inward from the baseline on both sides. And also draw the final leech before moving to the luff. I measure the distance to the draft position and transfer these measures to the panel. I will use these for the luff tapers. I look up the width of the luff tapers and transfer the width to the luff end. Now I can draw the luff taper from the draft position up to the luff. These should actually be curved, but I make them straight. It is not possible to curve them with precision on this small scale. I prepare to hem the edge now, although I might need to change it later. Using uplight, I try to find the taper lines and pin these in place over each other. This curved seam will give the entry and the exit from the draft. Make sure that you orient each panel so that the leech line is parallel to the lofted leech. As the leech turns at the batten, the panels also need to turn. Otherwise you will run into problems, as I do later. The dart in the foot needs to be cut through to the next panel. I mark where to cut for both darts. With a hot knife I try to cut along the marking. but it's tricky to keep the rest of the cloth out of the way. The result is not good, so I clean cut the edge on both darts and plan to make a fold over hem seam instead. I mark 1 cm on the cloth, the width of the dart at the foot, and pin the dart seam 7 cm up into the panel, about 3 times the roach. I realize that I also need to broad seam the panel seam, so that the cleave end does not get too flat, and also better support the foot roach. 0.6 cm taper width from the foot, same as in the leech end. I will need to redo the panel seam with the new design. I measure out 0.6 cm. Draw the tapering and pin the seam. I notice that I need to withdraw some more cloth, here in the luff end, in the middle of the sail. After removing the pins, I flatten the cloth and pin the sail in the leech and luff. In the middle I measure out 0.5 cm. Now I widen the seam in the middle and taper in the luff and leech end. I'm not sure that this will work, but it is easier than to redo the whole sail. Now I'm ready to start sewing. This will be in the next episode. If you like this episode, please consider leaving a comment below. Thank you for watching.